Imagine we are transported to medieval Japan, on a battlefield where the sounds of clashing steel and battle cries resonate. Among the armored warriors stands a graceful yet powerful figure. This is an onna-bugeisha, a female samurai. Have you ever heard of them? These brave women, despite all stereotypes, stood side by side with men, defending their families and their lands. Stay with us until the end to learn about these strong women in Japanese history whose contributions were as significant as those of their male counterparts. Today, we will open a little-known page of Japanese history, and at the end, we will tell you about one of the most famous warrior women whose name has become legend. Onna-bugeisha are women samurai who fought alongside men in ancient Japan. Their story dates back to the very beginning of the Japanese samurai era, when martial arts and warrior honor were the foundations of a warrior's life. These women did not just protect their families, they participated in wars, and their bravery often matched that of men. A key weapon used by onna-bugeisha was the naginata, a long polearm with a curved blade, perfectly suited for combat. This weapon allowed them to keep enemies at a distance, compensating for the physical strength difference between men and women. In Japanese families, women were trained from a young age to master this weapon, and it became a symbol of their combat training and strength. One of the most famous examples of an onna-bugeisha was Tomo-guzan. She lived in the 12th century and fought in the wars of the Genpei period. Chronicles describe her as an incredibly brave warrior who could defeat any enemy. Her legend has survived through the ages, reminding us that a woman could be as formidable and valiant as any male samurai, but Tomo-guzan was not the only one. Onna-bugeisha played a crucial role in defending forts and castles when male samurai went off to battle. When their homelands were under attack, women samurai stood ready to protect their homes. They led the defense, and often their actions saved entire families from destruction. The samurai culture was deeply tied to the concepts of honor and duty. This code of honor, known as bushido, applied to women samurai as well. They adhered to strict moral principles, placing the honor of their families and the protection of their loved ones above all else. Even in the toughest moments, these women remained true to their duties, never backing down in the face of danger. In Japanese history, there are also examples of women samurai who actively participated in politics. Hojo Masako, the wife of the first Kamakura shogun Minamoto no Yoritomo, became one of the key political figures after her husband's death. She was called the samurai woman in politics, as she not only handled state affairs but also commanded an army. Onna-bugeisha were not just warriors. They raised future generations, teaching their children the art of war. Many warrior mothers prepared their sons and daughters for life in a world where courage and loyalty were the highest virtues. In this way, samurai traditions were passed down from generation to generation. Interestingly, during periods of civil war, such as the Sengoku era, women's participation in battles became particularly significant. Many castles were under the control of women samurai when men were absent, and the fate of these strongholds often depended on their leadership. Women like Nato Takako successfully defended their castles and commanded troops, however. After the Meiji Restoration and the beginning of Japan's Western modernization, samurai culture began to decline. In an era where the samurai way of life faded into the background, onna-bugeisha nearly disappeared from public life. Yet, the memory of them lives on to this day, thanks to legends and historical chronicles. In modern Japan, women samurai remain an important cultural symbol. Their images can be seen in books, films, and animation, continuing to inspire new heroes and heroines. They embody strength and independence, demonstrating that women can rise to any challenge in any era. The uniqueness of onna-bugeisha lay in their dual role. They were not only warriors but also the guardians of their families. They bore the weight of both defense and nurturing, making their figures particularly significant in the context of Japanese history. Despite many chronicles mentioning onna-bugeisha only briefly, their influence on samurai culture cannot be underestimated. Women samurai represented resilience, strength, and loyalty to principles that were the foundation of the entire samurai culture. one of the most famous examples of the resilience of women samurai is the siege of Azuchi Castle, where Oichi no Kata, the sister of the great warlord Oda Nobunaga, led the resistance in the castle against besieging forces. Her heroism has inspired many over the centuries. Onna-bugeisha not only fought but also negotiated, protected their homes, and sometimes even governed entire provinces in the absence of their husbands. Their influence on public and political life in Japan cannot be underestimated. In modern pop culture, many films and series explore the image of onna-bugeisha. This allows new generations to learn about the important roles women played in samurai Japan. The image of onna-bugeisha was also utilized in art. For example, in Japanese paintings and ukiyo-e prints from the Edo period, you can find depictions of women samurai wielding swords and naginatas. These images illustrate that their roles were acknowledged even during those times. It is important to remember that women samurai not only defended their families and homes, they were significant strategists and political leaders, exerting influence on society alongside men. Modern researchers continue to study the legacy of onna-bugeisha, uncovering new facts about women whose lives were dedicated to defending honor and their people. The history of onna-bugeisha is a story of courage and devotion, showing that a woman can be not only a guardian of the home but also a great warrior. Their feats inspire and continue to symbolize strength and independence in Japanese culture.